So here we are, Pop Culture Time Capsule, a show here on 103.5 The Sun where we, three of us get together to talk about pop culture events of a particular year. Anthony,
I'm excited to be here
this week.
This week we got 2006, and I was 18 in 2006. What about you fellas?
Fresh meat, Anthony Dunu.
Fresh meat, that's right. On the fresh meat on the market.
2006. I was 29 years old.
Ooh, there you go.
I believe I was 35 at the time.
Hell yeah.
Or what?
Oh, what? I thought you had something else.
I was just reading Facebook Live where someone says we must have a butt dance. I don't know what that means, but I like it.
Jeff Robbins, what's your butt dance?
You saw it last night.
Hey, before we get started with the show, let's talk for a minute about last night. We the three of us went down to the beautiful town of Naperville, Illinois.
Yeah, we sure did.
To go see Monty Python's very own Eric Idle.
Yeah, we sure did.
Doing a little book tour.
He sure was.
Hosted, moderated by Mr. Show's very own, Better Call Saul's very own Bob Odenkirk.
Chicago native, I believe.
Yeah, Naperville native.
Naperville native,
Yeah.
even better.
We got a
At
signed book.
North Central College, Pfeiffer Hall.
Yeah. And
The plumbing was out.
The plumbing was no good.
And we had a good time. I think we thought that the was a little short. The Q&A, the interview between Bob and Eric.
Yeah,
a little brief.
Left a lot to be desired, in my opinion.
Wow, you had a bad time.
No, I didn't have a bad time. I was just hoping for much more.
Was it the company?
Company was terrible.
Yeah.
Although the guy who was on the other side of me was a nice guy, it looked like. But yeah, it felt to me like Bob Odenkirk.
But the guy that wasn't one of us,
right?
Oh,
yeah,
the stranger. He looked like a nice guy.
I was a little disappointed that Bob Odenkirk was very low energy. Felt like they just grabbed a guy off the street to do an interview. That was a little.
Yeah, it seemed a little unfocused, a little scatterbrained.
He was flipping through papers.
He was, but Eric Idle was entertaining. I learned.
Sure, he was good.
Oh, I loved some of the George Harrison and Beatles stories. That was the highlight for me of the show. But hanging out with you fellas.
I'm surprised they didn't go into that a little bit more because you know that George Harrison basically bankrolled Life of Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, there you go.
And they started handmade films.
But we also got a signed book from Eric Idle, right?
There we go.
Not. We didn't get it personally signed.
You didn't.
He signed.
Yeah. What do you mean?
You met him afterwards?
Yeah, I hung out afterwards. Where were you?
Little house party.
A selfie with the cardboard cutout too.
Did you get a selfie with the cardboard?
I didn't. No.
Okay.
I didn't. Well,
what do we?
I gave somebody else a selfie.
I think the highlight of the night was getting the White Castle.
The White Castle was tremendous.
Yeah, that was my personal highlight.
We searched hard for that White Castle.
If you're in Aurora, Illinois, I recommend the White Castle. It's so choice.
There's nothing like White Castle's about, what, 12:30?
Yeah,
it's a good time.
That's the best. That's when they're at their finest.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we peeled back the curtain a little bit and gave the audience at home a little behind-the-scenes information on our weekend. Yeah.
I'm already getting a suggestion on our Facebook Live that 2006 was Barry Alvarez's last year as a head coach.
Oh, Jeff. See, I'm okay with that, but
That's
Jeff Robbins.
related.
Well, that's fine. I mean, we've already made our lists, so
Yes.
I love the suggestions. Keep them coming, but we're not going to change our list on the fly, and we don't make these up as we go along. We have these meticulously prepared,
Very meticulous.
meticulously.
Yes.
Sibilance.
Sibilance.
So,
All right.
yeah. Well, hey, are we starting?
Let's do it. Let's do a show.
Okay. Who's going first?
We're going to leave that to our fine host here, Mr. Anthony Danu.
I think Jeff Robbins is going to lead off.
Oh,
you're saying that it's going to be
lost the whole deal. Okay. Take care. All right.
Well, I'll start with my number 10 in the year 2006, and I love talking about Saturday Night Live, so I'll just start right there. In December of 2006, and I'll get the exact date because I know we love detail on this program. What are you doing over there?
Talking to friends on Facebook while you're doing this. So
it's an interactive show.
We have Andrew Carter Abides Nelson watching the show at the moment.
It's very odd. I got a split screen on here.
Give us all your suggestions, Carter.
All right, so on December 16th, 2006, a little digital short aired on Saturday Night Live, and it was called, and I can't say the name, but it was called Blank in a Box, and it was featuring Justin Timberlake and Andy Samberg, and I think it was one of the certainly one of the best things they've done in the 2000s and on. Actually, when Rolling Stone recently did a list of the best sketches in SNL's history, it finished at number 3. And it was what they call, boys, a viral sensation. We've all seen this particular clip. It very, very cleverly, very hilariously parodies "Color Me Bad," kind of white R&B, bad R&B music. Particularly
silk shirts.
Did you say bad R&B music?
Sure I did.
Wow, ouch! "Color Me Bad" is top notch in my book.
Well, what's the what's the Spanish song?
Ooh, I don't know.
Okay, that's the one I like.
I adore mi amor.
Thank you. That's the good one.
Yeah. Is it Spanish? I think it's Italian.
Who cares? So, I remember seeing this for the first time and just laughing uproariously. And it's just, one of those things that you are like, are they really going to do this? And they do it, and they keep doing it. And it's very well written. It's very clever. It won the Creative Arts Emmy Award for Outstanding Music and Lyrics in 2007. It became one of the most popular YouTube videos of all time, 35.3 million at some point. I mean, it's still, although I don't think it's on YouTube anymore. I think because of their deal with Hulu. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But
I should not be typing this in at the
Yeah, be careful. You're on a watch list.
Oh, there you go. But anyway, that is my number 10. It is Blank in a Box with Andy Samberg and Justin Timberlake, and it is one of my personal favorites.
I actually have a Blank in a Box T-shirt that I thought about wearing tonight for the show.
Why didn't you wear it?
Because we have cameras, and it doesn't say.
You could have put a piece of tape over it.
Oh, I could.
Just censored yourself.
That's true. Yeah, maybe. Okay, I'll run home real quick and get it.
Perfect.
You guys just cover for me. You read my list.
You got it.
All right. Is it going to me then? Are we going counterclockwise or clockwise? What are we doing?
We can go to you.
All right, fine. Mine's not as cool as Jeff's. My number 10 is a topic called Actors Living the Gimmick. 2006, you had 2 different actors who became household names by playing different characters. Oh, thank you. Oh, look at this guy. Oops. Wobbly. You had Sacha Baron Cohen in a movie called Borat. My wife. Oh, hello.
My wife.
At Borat, which is a kind of a sketch that began on his TV show and became a mockumentary film, which became a massive thing and made Sacha Baron Cohen and Borat himself kind of a name. He started making public appearances as Borat, going on to talk shows as Borat, and just doing what he does, which is just fully engulfing himself in the character. The movie, it's a ridiculous movie, but he made it for $18 million. The film made $262 million. Did all right. It won a Golden Globe for Sacha Baron Cohen for Best Actor as Borat. Was nominated for Best Original Screenplay Oscar. Oscar-nominated Borat.
Unbelievable.
Why is that unbelievable? It's a fine film.
It is a really good film.
Fine script.
And became highly controversial because, he goes out and he gets real people and kind of melds them into his brand of sketch comedy, a little Andy Kaufman-like in how he just lives with it. The other actor who started a gimmick in 2006 that she had a hard time escaping for a while, Hannah Montana debuted on the Disney Network, 2006. Made Miley Cyrus not just Billy Ray's daughter, and really started to blur the lines between who she was and who the character was for a bunch of young girls. Her TV debut was in 2006. Hannah Montana was Disney's highest-rated TV show of all time. Eventually led to Hannah Montana albums, concert tours, a movie, and it brought the nation Miss Miley Cyrus. And, this was a hugely successful deal for her for almost a decade. Then she decided it's time to break away and let everyone know I'm no Hannah Montana anymore. And then we got Miley being Miley.
That's right, Wrecking Ball.
Right, exactly.
Hell of a music video. My favorite of the decade.
Yeah.
So far.
Right. So that's my number 10 is 2 actors who really delved into their gimmicks for 2006 and beyond.
Do you have a favorite Disney Channel show, Anthony Deneau?
Favorite Disney Channel
of all time?
That's tough. I like Brotherly Love. No, I don't want to go Brotherly Love. I like the movies better than the TV shows, but Growing Pains was always on there when I was a kid.
No, I'm talking about original Disney Channel.
Disney Channel.
Give me some names.
Oh, Good Luck Charlie?
Mine is iCarly.
No, that was Nickelodeon.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, they're all the same to me.
Dog with a Blog?
Dog with a Blog.
I think Good Luck Charlie is my personal favorite.
What about Victorious?
That's also Nickelodeon.
I like Nickelodeon shows, all right? What do you do? What do you want from me?
In terms of original content, I will take the Nickelodeon catalog for their channel over the Disney Channel.
Have you seen Good Luck Charlie? It's hilarious.
Wait, what's the show?
It's a feel-good comedy.
What about Crash and Bernstein? What's that?
I think that's Disney.
Yeah, I like Crash and
I
Bernstein
don't think that lasted too long.
Like 3 seasons.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it a cartoon?
No, it was a kid with a puppet. The puppet was Crash, this purple puppet, and it legitimately made me laugh every time.
What about Ant Farm? What about Girl Meets World? The follow-up to Boy Meets World.
Yeah, that was the thing.
I'm sad about your lack of knowledge with Disney Channel shows.
I apologize.
I'm disappointed in myself.
Did you talk about Billy Ray Cyrus?
Yeah, I mentioned him.
He did? Okay.
Thanks for paying attention.
Love Billy Ray. Love Billy Ray.
All right, I'm good. That's what I got for you. I'm glad we're playing some
What was the
Hannah
first thing
Montana.
you said before Hannah Montana? Borat. Yeah, okay. You didn't mention Larry Charles. Did he co-direct that, or did he direct co-wrote it, or did he direct?
He was actually Borat, I thought, or he was on the Borat.
Because Larry Charles had a long. He worked on Seinfeld.
Yeah,
was one of the writers on Seinfeld.
And he also did Religulous with Bill Maher.
Could be,
if I'm not mistaken.
Could be. What are we listening to?
This is Trish Stratus' theme song. This is Lil' Kim. And the reason that is because for my number 10, I have Foxy Divas retire from wrestling.
Oh,
so,
Jeff, is he stealing one of your topics?
Yeah. A lot of crossover in 06.
Changing my list.
Ivory, Lita, Stacy Keibler, and my personal favorite, the person whose theme song you're hearing now, Trish Stratus, all retired from wrestling in 2006. Jameson, you're maybe more of a Stacy Keibler guy.
Stacy Keibler all day long.
Understandable. If anyone is familiar with the show Glow, Ivory, it was one of the real gorgeous ladies of wrestling, and I think she played the Betty Gilpin role, or
on the show?
No,
I mean, in the original,
in the real,
yeah,
in the real.
And then she showed up on the Netflix series
as
a trainer.
Oh, really?
Right?
And maybe in season 2. You might be right about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. 4 of my favorite ladies of wrestling growing up. Especially Trish Stratus. She has a special place in my heart.
Mm-hmm. All deep down in the cockles of his heart.
That's right.
We can say that.
All retired in 2006.
Yeah. Pour one out for the ladies of wrestling.
That's right. Ivory, Lita, Stacy Keibler, and Trish Stratus. Who is your favorite out there, Facebook? Who do you got? Stacy Keibler had some time with
Andrew
George
Carter
Clooney.
Nelson's going to give us an answer because he's watching.
There you go.
And he confirms Larry Charles directed Religulous. See, that's
there
what we
you go.
got.
I appreciate stuff like that.
Nice job, Carter.
Hell yeah.
All right. Jeff Robbins, time to sit up in your big boy chair. Tell us your number 9.
He's busy listening to this song.
He is. He's way into it.
My number 9, I was looking for the exact date, and I'm failing to come up with it, so I apologize to our vast North American listening audience. But my number 9 has to do with the downfall of a celebrity that I've never been particularly fond of, and that is Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson in 2006.
Can we quote him? Can we quote some Mel Gibson 2006?
Every item on my list tonight needs to be censored.
Do you remember what he called the cop, the lady cop?
Well, okay, no. Anyway, he gets pulled over for drunk driving in 2006, and he goes on a extreme drunken rampage, specifically about the these are his words, about the Jews.
Right.
And he says, the Jews are responsible for all the wars in the world. He asked the cop if she was a Jew.
He called her sugar teas.
The Jews own own Malibu. The Jews are this and that. And then he told the cop, "I'm going to blank you. I'm going to regret you ever did this to me, you mother blanker."
Yes, keep going. We're still on the air. Keep going.
That's about all I had to say. So yeah, this happened in 2006, and then of course he comes out and later on he basically says, "I've never discriminated against anybody." He gave a an interview in Variety that says, "I've never discriminated against anyone." Mm-hmm. It was recorded illegally by an unscrupulous police officer who was never prosecuted for that crime. Blah 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 blah. I think police basically record all their interactions, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
Especially with celebrities who are drunk.
Right.
That's going straight to TMZ.
But anyway, Mel Gibson had a history for saying stupid things ahead of time. I think he had said in before that negative things about gays. I think around the time of Braveheart, and of course he was criticized for Passion of the Christ. A lot of the
Anti-Semitic
thank you
things in there.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you. Perceived anti-Semitic.
Right.
Yeah. So that is my number 9. Now, what's your feeling about Mel Gibson these days as far as his stature in the
Has he
motion
paid his
picture
penance?
industry? Because to me, it seems like he hasn't really bounced back, which I'm happy for. But he was in, Daddy's Home 2?
Yeah, he had a great movie that flew below the radar a couple years ago. Something Father. It's like a post-apocalypse movie where he was a father. Look this up. Who was trying to save his daughter from these rogue gangs. It was great. Bloodfather. Yeah, really good movie. Yeah, I don't know if he's.
It is Bloodfather.
Yeah, great movie. I don't know.
How'd you find that so fast?
I'm good.
Well, I said Bloodfather. He typed it up and it was there.
There you
We're
go.
good. Yeah, I don't know if he's paid his penance. I think Hollywood has short memory, and I think he's actually probably paid the longest penalty for
Especially
being a total jerk.
And especially compared to the last few years of, I don't know, people in Hollywood making all sorts of other mistakes that, I don't know, people probably don't look as negatively on him 10 years ago of this whole rant, but still, yeah.
Bloodfather,
Not the best
2016.
Yeah,
Daddy's Home 2. The Beaver.
yeah.
So
I think that killed his career more than anything. The Beaver.
So I mean, he's
the anti-Semitism. That movie blew.
I mean, he's definitely worked since 2006, but
He has. Yeah.
I think that he'll always have that little bit of a scarlet letter around him.
Getting too damn old for this.
And I've never been a big Mel Gibson fan.
Okay.
So
I always liked him.
You
He was
did.
Mad Max. What are you gonna do? Come on.
Anybody could have been that role.
Whoa. Okay. All right. Now we're just getting crazy. All right.
You put Roddy Piper in that role.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in They Live. He was good.
He was in the Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Yeah, there you go.
That was a nice post-apocalypse movie. All right. Speaking of post-apocalyptic movies,
Sorry.
my number 9 is a book that came out in 2007, a novel, Cormac McCarthy's The Road, a post-apocalyptic tale of a father and a son on a journey for survival in a desolate wasteland. The book is this kind of story of a father trying to protect his son, realizing that they aren't going to survive the winter, and they're trying to make it to the coast. He realizes that he's dying, so he is trying to kind of protect his son and teach him how to prepare for the world without him. They're going through the land. They're meeting up with, people have gone cannibalistic when you do run into people. It's kind of a terrifying read. It won the Pulitzer Prize for fiction, 2006, was adapted into a film in 2009, starring Viggo Mortensen, and it's him as the father, this protective presence over his son, and there's a lot of interesting themes in there, like most Cormac McCarthy books. They're the good guys. He's telling his son, we're the good guys. Everyone you meet in the world is a bad guy in this time. We quote unquote carry the light is what he's teaching. We carry the fire. And the book is it affected me so much. Just a heartbreaking novel. It's a novel and the movie too, but the novel especially was one of those that, I broke down several times while I was reading it because, I'm a father of a son. When I'm reading this, I had a couple of young sons, and just kind of putting myself in that place, like, oh my God, this is terrifying. What would I do in these times? And it's all told from the perspective of this father. It's an amazing, amazing novel, and a really good movie. So they're one of my favorite books of the 2000s.
So your list here, your item is the book.
Yes, The Road.
What year did the movie come out?
2009. Yeah.
Can I get that on the Netflix?
You might actually. I don't know. I could bring it in for you if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, but Cormac McCarthy, great author. The Road.
I've never read any books by Mr.
Oh, you should. I'll bring it in for you. You can read it.
You laugh like that's strange.
No, I laughed because you took a pause between I've never read any books by him.
Reading is hard.
I read.
I heard it's
books,
fundamental.
Jerry, books.
Books. Anyways, that's my number 9. Let's keep it depressing. Danu, what do you have?
I don't know. This is only depressing if you're a Toronto Raptors fan, because I've got Kobe Bryant dropping 81 points. I know this is of the sports variety. Jeff Robin's not a big fan of that.
Disregard this.
That's right. Yeah, got wrestling and basketball now. Kobe Bryant's game against the Toronto Raptors, 81 points, the most in my lifetime for sure. I know a couple years ago, Devin Booker put up 70 against your Boston Celtics, Jameson Rabbit.
I don't remember that.
Okay, yeah. Good to have a short memory on that one.
Yep.
But you had Jalen Rose, Chris Bosh, Morris Peterson, Mike James, Matt Bonner, Charlie Villanueva, a couple guys giving up all sorts of points. I mean, Kobe Bryant was on fire. One of my favorite players to watch all time. I even had a dog named after Kobe. And,
Jelly Bean?
Yeah, Kobe Jelly Bean Bryant. That's right. So, yeah, there you go. Jeff Robbins, you're a big NBA guy in 2006. Steve Nash, MVP, huh? Back-to-back.
You know, the NBA season is only about 10 days away from starting.
I learned that last night.
Very good.
Now, what's the deal? They're starting early because the fewer back-to-backs?
Yes.
Fewer back-to-backs and eliminating 4 games in 5 nights. So they started this last year.
Trying to make it less grueling on the players.
That's right. 82 games is a lot. They could dumb it down a little bit.
My wife doesn't care for the back-to-backs either.
I don't know what to do with that. All right.
The round of 8.
All right, funny guy.
Jeff
What do you got, number 8? What do we have to bleep out of this one?
Nothing. This one's very clean.
Okay.
Call your children and to listen to my mellifluous, what is it? Mellifluous voice?
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
That's a word.
Yeah, of course. My number 8 is TV related. TV is that thing that you have in your house, and it used to be on a tube, and now it's usually a flat screen.
That's a microwave.
Okay, sorry. In the fall of 2006, NBC debuted not one, but 2 shows that were loosely based on the backstage creation of a late-night sketch comedy variety show, strikingly similar to a show like Saturday Night Live.
I've heard of that.
Kind of surprising maybe that it took 30 years for somebody to try to tackle that as fodder for a show, and then 2 of them came on the air at the same time, and not only that, but they were on the same network. One was 30 Rock, which lasted, I believe, 7 seasons. Tina Fey, Alec Baldwin, Tracy Morgan, Jane Krakowski. What was the other guy?
Jack McBrayer.
Thank you. And the other one, Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip. That's the one that people probably don't
the more successful
remember.
one, right?
That was the one that got all the buzz. You had Aaron Sorkin's first show after The West Wing went off the air. You had Matthew Perry. You had the other dude. Who's the other dude?
I only watched one episode of that.
Oh, my
I have
gosh.
no idea.
Oh, Bradley Whitford.
Okay,
of course,
sure.
Bradley.
Madison's Own.
There you go.
So the 30. The thing about Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, my wife and I watched the whole season because we were looking forward to it. We were big fans of The West Wing, and so we were looking forward to this show. And it was one of those shows that was just so god awful. We just couldn't stop watching it.
Oh,
So,
okay. Guilty pleasure show.
Fortunately, it only lasted one show or one season. We didn't have to watch more than 22 episodes. But you would think, Anthony Deneau, if you were going to make a show about a comedy show, what elements do you think you would have to make the show believable?
Comedians?
You'd have to have funny material, and
You got Bradley Whitford.
well, the thing was,
As a crack up.
Revenge of the Nerds 2? Nerds in Paradise?
kind of like the Larry Sanders Show, for example. They would show things that were going on over the air, or maybe things in dress rehearsal, and every time they would do that, it was painfully unfunny. And then you had Sarah Paulsen, I believe her name is. She was the main actress on the show, within the show, and she did a mean Juliette Lewis, and you're like, it's 2006. Why do we care about a Juliette Lewis impersonation? Nobody's heard from her for 15 years.
Wow. Yeah.
And it was just remarkably uninteresting, and it was just a really crappy show. And
so it made your number 8.
I enjoyed watching it crash and burn. But 30 Rock, on the other hand, started off pretty slow and turned into a fine little show. I always thought it was a little overrated, but turned into a fine little show there from Ms. Tina Fey and Mr. Alec Baldwin.
Made Alec Baldwin a TV star.
Yeah, there you have it. And it went 7 seasons, and there you go. That's my number 8. Show is based on Saturday Night Live, 30 Rock, Studio 60. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. My number 8 selection. Number 8. I feel like we got to have jingles.
We got to work on jingles.
Number 8. Okay. So my number 8 is a gaming platform that came out in 2006. The Nintendo Wii showed up. 2006. Nintendo trying to get back into the game to compete with Xbox 360 and the PS3. And they came up with a platform that was going after a broader audience. Kind of going after the family audience. And some of the things that were really cool about the Nintendo Wii, of course, were the Wii Remote, which was very interactive, which played well with the kind of the standard game package that came with it, the Wii Sports, which suddenly had a nation bowling in their living room, and boxing. I think I threw out my shoulder the first time I did it because I didn't realize you can just flick your wrist. You don't need to throw full punches when you're boxing, and that didn't work out well. But, it also was backward compatible, which is really important. And
What does that mean, backwards compatible?
Where you could play previous generations of discs.
So all the Nintendo and Super Nintendo games, and even some GameCube or Nintendo 64 games, you could play those in different ways on Nintendo Wii.
Yeah, and they had this, a huge menu of different channels that you could then download, and suddenly you can download your Netflix through your Wii, and use that, and they had a whole cool platform, I thought.
And was that the first one where you could actually create your own avatar?
Yeah, I believe so.
Which became a big thing, and
it became a huge
people
thing.
Created. Jesus or
we go into
Walter from
we
Big
would play
Lebowski.
it. People would come over anytime someone came over our house. We'd end up playing Wii Sports or Mario Kart.
Exactly.
And we let anyone who came over make your avatar. Take a few minutes. So
fun.
we would have this massive library of people's avatars. Like, who was Walter again?
Right.
Just this whole thing. And it was a lot of fun. And we played the heck out of it. You get the sports packages where you get a steering wheel and a baseball bat to put your controller into, and of course it led to a lot of tragedies early on as people didn't put the wrist straps on, and you watch videos of people throwing their remote through their nice new TV that they'd gotten, trying to hit a baseball, and there goes the remote through it. So yeah, the Wii came out in 2006, and I enjoy it.
Very good.
Is that present tense? You still enjoy it?
I mean, we have 2 Wiis. They've now they're gathering dust.
Are they Wiis or are they Wii U's?
We have a Wii and a Wii U.
Interesting.
Yeah, we have every stupid platform.
Do you have the Switch?
Yes, we have a Switch as well.
Nice.
And an Xbox One.
The Xbox 3.
The Xbox One.
Oh, the
Which is a
Xbox
new
One
one,
is
yeah.
right, exactly.
Yeah,
Of course.
and we have our listener here, Carter, reminds me that I'm an archery champion at Nintendo. I'd forgotten about that.
Oh, that's Wii Sports Resort.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, I like the
Jeff
three.
Robbins, you're all over the Wii.
I like the 3-point contest. You ever do the 3-point contest on the Wii Sports Resort?
Have I ever?
Well, his eyes lit up like I
Yes,
just talked.
sir. I'm a 3-point champion.
Talking about Garfield Tale of Two Kitties.
That's Bill Murray's finest movie you're talking about right there. All right. That was my number 8. Danu!
All right, for my number 8, I've got Akon Was Everywhere. In 2006 and leading into 2007 as well, it seems like anywhere you go, you turn on a radio, Akon is on some song somewhere, somehow. He had songs that year with Eminem, as well as Snoop Dogg. And then my personal favorite, and maybe favorite song of the year, The Sweet Escape with Gwen Stefani. I cannot get enough of it. I love this song. And it was at a time when I was 18, I was like, pop sucks, and I like punk rock and ska, and then, but then this song would come on, and I'm just all smiles and waving hands. So this is one of my favorites, and you still hear it today or at any sporting event, or if you're watching it TV or at the game. This song is going to be played, and it's really one of the songs from the year that's really, I guess, in 12 years you hear it to this day. Still, it's kind of stood over a decade. So. Akon was
What about
everywhere.
Akon? Has he stood over the decade?
He has not made it. This song is going to be the thing that ties him back into, this era. But yeah, things haven't gone so well for him since 2006, 2007.
Yeah, he had a big run for a year and a half.
He did,
And then it was gone.
And he was with he had songs with Modest Yahoo, and as I said, Snoop Dogg, and all these people.
Yeah.
This decade, not so much for Akon. But 06, 07, he was everywhere.
Yes, he was. I like that. Jeff is just having a good old time over here.
Jeff, you like this song?
What's not to like?
Exactly.
It's got a snappy beat. It's easy to dance to.
I've
give it an 8.3.
I've forgotten all my cares right now. All my cares are just washed away.
This is going on the playlist of positivity.
Yeah, there you go. All right. You got number 7, Jeff?
I'm just listening to the
Okay,
music.
just sit back and jam to it. We'll let it play.
No, come on, let's. All right, we were talking. I'm going to go with my number 7 now.
Okay.
And we were talking earlier about what was your Hannah Montana.
Hannah Montana, of course.
We were talking about Disney Channel.
Yeah.
My number 7 is a film that debuted on the Disney Channel back in the wonderful year of 2006. And it was January 20th, 2006 to be exact. And that saw the debut of High School Musical on the Disney Channel. It became the most successful Disney Channel original movie ever produced. It was a kind of a modern day Romeo and Juliet kind of a thing. You've got your jock, you've got your brains, and what happens when the lead of the jock and the lead of the brains both try out for the High School Musical together.
Sharks and Jets right here.
It's kind of like brings the two worlds colliding. Introduced the world to Zac Efron and Vanessa. Oh, baby. Vanessa Hudgens, Ashley Tisdale. And it was had a lot of catchy music, catchy songs. What are we going to hear right now?
Jeff Robbins has often been referred to as the Zac Efron of this show.
Yeah, well, it's the abs.
Obviously.
Yeah. Let's see. So it spawned a couple sequels, High School Musical 2, and then High School Musical 3 they decided to release in the theaters. It was the soundtrack was the best-selling album of the year in the United States, reached number 1. It was... according to Wikipedia, High School Musical has been seen, I don't know how they figure this out, but it's been seen by over 225 million people. And I've seen all of the High School Musical films, and with the children. I don't seek them out on my own.
Don't lie to us.
But I've never seen a High School Musical.
They're entertaining as heck. It's hard not it's hard not to feel good listening to the kids breaking out. This is a little bit, Glee was a hit for a while. Mm-hmm. It was kind of, I think, latched onto Glee, or was this?
I think this was before Glee.
Was this before Glee?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Glee
was like 2008.
Yeah, Glee was a little bit earlier because Jane Lynch left Party Down for Glee.
There you go.
So you're saying that you're right. Glee started in 2009. So High School Musical probably
I was watching
influenced
the
Glee.
to it, in 2008.
Yeah. So there you go. I am going to go with High School Musical as my number 7, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, one of these days maybe I'll get around to a High School Musical.
I think we should dress up as High School Musical characters for Halloween. Okay,
I'll be Vanessa Hudgens. I don't even know who that is. All right, mine, number 7, is debut albums of 2006, and I kind of I narrowed it down to 3 debut albums, which were pretty huge. At least personally, I think these are pretty great. The first one, don't touch. The first one is Gnarls Barkley with Saint Elsewhere. Shows up on the charts with a song called Crazy. I still love this song all day long.
To me, this year comes down to Sweet Escape and Crazy.
And I love when they performed this. I can't remember where they performed it.
It was the VMAs, and that was actually
all
in
Star Wars
2005
characters?
as Star Wars characters.
Yeah,
and you've got Danger Mouse up there, and the Stormtrooper on the guitar. I watched some of this last night.
I love it.
When that came out, I fell in love with CeeLo in this song.
Oh, CeeLo, the T-Rex. Guy can't put his hands in his pockets, you know that? He's got a 2-foot wingspan on a 4-foot body. Anyways, love this song. It's pretty great. Also, another debut album from 2006 I love is the Cold War Kids. They had an album called Robbers and Cowards. And then the most successful debut album in the history of music came out in 2006. Arctic Monkeys had an album that came out called Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not. It was the fastest selling album in music history. Sold 360,000 copies in its first week. Also the biggest selling debut of all British musicians. That includes those Beatles.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Had some
whatever you said, I'm sure is incorrect.
Whatever people say. Great song I love called I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor. This album makes a lot of lists. Rolling Stone's list of the best albums of 2006. This was, I believe, number 1. Makes a lot of lists of the best albums of the decade. Arctic Monkeys. I like this album, and I did not like the rest of their catalog. I don't even know if they're still around.
Oh, you hate when that happens? There's a quote about that, about how the reason your first album is the best is because you've had your whole life to write it. But, They're out there.
There was an interesting quote about this movie. I can't remember who attributed it to. I was reading it, and they said this is it's an album that a bunch of buddies wrote about looking forward all week to going out on the weekend to try and pick up the same chicks that they got dumped by the weekend before and getting dumped again. And that's what the whole album feels like. It's just working for the weekend. Who cares if we fail? It's a great album. So that's my number 7 is 3 big debut albums of the year.
What was your stat that you quoted about the Arctic Monkeys?
That they had the fastest selling debut of all albums. 360,000 copies in the first week.
Only in the UK.
No.
Yes.
Who sold the most albums in the first week? Tell me.
I'm just looking at
I just looked up the stat an hour ago.
Their debut album is the fastest selling debut album by a band in UK chart history.
Continue reading.
And in 2013, Rolling Stone ranked it the 30th greatest debut album.
I'm going to tell you where the stat is right here.
All right.
Okay, continue.
Well,
You want me to go? Go with
Yeah.
mine?
I'm going
All
to
right.
look this up for you.
All right, for my number 7, I have comedy movies. The comedy movies of 2006. I'm picking my favorites, not necessarily all of the comedy movies, but Grandma's Boy, Borat, and Jackass number 2. Grandma's Boy is the one that is not going to be mentioned quite as much. This is basically Adam Sandler's buddies putting together a movie, but Linda Cardellini is in it from Freaks and Geeks. Jeff Robbins,
sure. ER.
Jameson. Yeah. Oh, really? Did you say ER?
Yeah, she was on ER for a while.
I didn't know that. Another NBC show. So Grandma's Boy, Borat, and Jackass number 2. Jackass number 2 is basically the TV show, but their movie after they were off of MTV. But similar to Borat, where you play characters in public, I guess, and people are not in on the joke. There's a lot of that as well, which led to offshoots like Bad Grandpa and things of that nature. But I got to throw Borat in there too. The other ones would be The Breakup, Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn. Talladega Nights is a big one from the year. Idiocracy, which we're now living, and Clerks 2, which Clerks is my all-time favorite movie, maybe. And but Clerks 2, I don't know.
It's in color, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the same.
It's not the same.
Black and white's where it's at.
The dance scene, and I love Rosario Dawson, but man, that was.
You do get to see Jay with his All-Togethers showing.
There you go. There's
replaying a Silence of the Lambs scene.
My goodness.
You think I'm sexy?
Oh. Something special. But I do think it's a funny movie. I just wish that Kevin Smith would have called it anything but Clerks 2, and I'd just have it be a part of the New Jersey Chronicles, I guess. But calling it Clerks 2, I think, hurt the movie in my eyes, because if it was its own thing and not a sequel to one of my favorite all-time movies, I don't think I would have had as much of an issue with it.
Yeah.
So there
I agree.
you go.
I concur.
You're in on that?
Yeah.
What are we listening to here?
We get a little Corrine Bailey Ray. This is Put Your Records On, another one of my favorites of 2006. You get behind this one?
Sure.
Not as much as Sweet Escape, though, apparently.
Yeah.
What's her? Doesn't she have a famous parent?
Yeah.
Corrine Bailey Ray?
Steve Earl Ray.
Steve Earl Ray?
I don't know. Johnny Earl Ray. Who's the guy that shot?
Billy Ray Cyrus.
Billy Ray Cyrus, yeah.
Is it my turn?
It is.
Yeah, we're just hanging out. No big deal.
My number. Are we on number 6?
Yep.
Who started this? Did you start?
You did.
You did.
Oh, I started. So I'm the first.
You begged off that you
I'm
wanted
the
to start.
first one to do my number 6.
Yep. Numbers.
We've already talked. Both of you already talked about my number 6, and that is the introduction of the Nintendo Wii in the year of 2006. I don't know what else I want to say about it. Personally speaking, it's the first time that I got involved in video games fairly heavily since the glory days of the Atari 2600, the ColecoVision, the Intellivision, and the Odyssey 2. Do you have the Odyssey 2?
Was it Coleco or Intellivision that was like a remote control that you slid different cards into?
That was Intellivision.
Okay.
No, well,
I don't
yeah,
remember.
I think it was.
It was corded. It had a...
Pretty sure that was Intellivision. And it had a little disc on the bottom. ColecoVision had a joystick. I think Intellivision had a disc.
The one I'm thinking of, I would always play it at my aunt and uncle's house.
I'm sure somebody will help us out.
It had
there.
like buttons like 1 through 9, like a remote control. Like
yeah.
And then you slid a different
I believe that's
and then
Intellivision.
corresponded to the game that you were putting in.
Yeah.
You play like tanks or whatever.
But I love the Nintendo. One thing I don't think you guys talked about the Nintendo Wii is the Wii Fit. Did you guys get the Wii Fit?
It gathered dust immediately.
You got the balance board.
Yeah.
I mean, we love the Wii Fit. You got your nunchucks. You got your thing. You got your.
I was disappointed right away when I heard that they were going to have nunchucks. And then I got it. And I'm like, I can't, this isn't nunchucks. What am I going to do with these?
Well, you hold one in one hand, and then you got the joystick in the other, and you do the juggling on one of the Wii Fit games, and I don't know.
Kind of swinging around his head like a Ninja Turtle.
Yeah.
So Wii Fit's a big hit in our house. I think I'm sure you guys mentioned Mario Kart, Mario Brothers, and then some of the other ones like Price is Right, Press Your Luck. We have all those games. Amazing
what was
Race.
The one, it wasn't Dance Dance, Just Dance.
Just Dance.
We had all the Just Dances.
Yeah, we have a bunch of Just Dances.
Yeah.
And I think as far as video game consoles are concerned, I think it's much more family friendly than some of the other ones, and it brought our family together on many a weeknight in the Robbins household. So that's my number 6, the Wii.
Nice. Yeah, I think it was very successful in that and become like the family platform. Everyone in the family will play
without a doubt.
It's easy to use easy to use controllers. Yeah.
Suddenly, it's not just like, "Hey, Mom, can I get a video game?" No. So I was like, "Well, let's pick one out that the family can play." You know, I mean, that we did that. All of a sudden, we got all these damn Just Dance discs laying around.
How are you at Just Dance, Anthony?
I'm really good, but
I believe it.
I'm a Guitar Hero. I am a pro.
Oh, I forgot about Guitar Hero.
Oh yeah,
we might
never had Guitar Hero.
Oh.
We might stumble upon that later. We'll see.
This guy knows what he's doing. All right, for my number 6, I feel like most of my list is like conglomerations of things. My number 6 is Movie Magic in 2006. As we do from time to time in movies, you get similar ideas showing up on screen at the same time. And in 2006, it was all about magicians. You had Christopher Nolan's new film, The Prestige, starring Hugh Jackman, Christian Bale, Scarlett Johansson, Michael Caine, Andy Serkis. Rival magicians in the late 1800s are competing with each other, trying to one-up each other on who has the greatest trick, who can perform the greatest magic. And the two rivals, Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale, are kind of overtaken by the competition to be the best. It doesn't always work out well. It was Christopher Nolan with a movie written by his brother, bringing the familiar cast of characters: Christian Bale, Michael Caine. Like they followed him for a while throughout the 2000s in all of his movies. I think Michael Caine's been in all of his movies, every movie he's done.
Of Nolan's?
Yes.
Holy cow!
I believe so, because he was a voice on the radio in Dunkirk this past year.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, but I believe he's been in every single one of his films.
Interstellar, is he in that?
I think he is. I think he's a scientist when they get back to Earth. Anyways, and then the other film, the competing film that came out that same year, was The Illusionist from Neil Berger, starring Ed Norton, Paul Giamatti, Jessica Biel. Late 1800s again, this time in Vienna, a magician played by Ed Norton is trying to use his abilities to score the love of a woman of high social standing, kind of way out of his league. And he's using his magical, mystical powers to try and move up in society of Vienna and land the lady, his lady love. Interesting. When they first came out, I actually went all in on The Illusionist. I was like, yeah, Illusionist is the one because I love Ed Norton and I like Paul Giamatti. Like, this is the one.
too.
And I don't think I'm going on a limb to say The Prestige is far superior to The Illusionist. I think it's a really, really good, really strong movie. It's Christopher Nolan. But yeah, two late 1800s magician movies suddenly were on the charts.
Wasn't Hugh Jackman in one too?
That was The Prestige.
That was okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Wasn't Hugh Jackman in one?
Thank you. Did you
That
guys
was
mention?
you know what's funny? That
Did you guys mention Dick Van Dyke? So yeah, that's my number 6 is Movie Magic on the screen.
How many films did you talk about there?
2, just The Prestige and The Illusionist. Woody Allen also had a movie starring Hugh Jackman and Scarlett Johansson that had a little deal with magic called Scoop. It was perhaps his worst movie ever, but I will not put that on the list.
I think I feel like the film that he had that dealt with magic was The Curse of the Jade Scorpion.
Well, he did have a movie where...
Which is not a good movie either.
2006, Hugh Jackman started as a magician in Scoop with Scarlett Johansson as well.
Okay. I'll take your word
which
for
was
it.
odd that they starred in 2 magic movies together the same year. But, yeah, did not make my list.
I think this show is magic.
It is. You can do magic, Jeff.
You can have anything you desire.
That's right.
You know darn well when you cast your spell, you will get your way when you hypnotize. With your eyes, the heart of stone can turn to clay.
I've actually been to a strip club called The Prestige in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico.
Ooh, The Prestige. Every time she took off her top, you're like, The Prestige.
That's where I met your mom.
Yeah. In Puerto Vallarta, Mexico.
What?
Shout out to Mitzi.
Are we still in the air?
Not for long.
Well, this is going to be an awesome transition into death. Number 6, I've got the crocodile hunter, Steve Irwin, Death by Stingray.
Ugh.
This is
Tragic.
This was a tragic one. He was filming a show about not Deadliest Catch, but something similar. But they were taking some time, and he was filming a separate, I guess, scene for his daughter's TV show.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, I guess he was trying to push the stingray one way and get a shot of it swimming away.
Crikey!
And instead, it turned around and just barbed him through the heart, or into the heart, and he ended up bleeding to death.
Right through the old sternum.
Yeah, so the unfortunate passing of the crocodile hunter, Steve Irwin. You guys have greatest Steve Irwin moments?
I actually did. Actually, it's funny because our listener here, Andrew, who's listening, I actually bought him a talking Steve Irwin doll right around this time.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Crikey! Oh, look at that one. I love Steve Irwin. We would sit and watch him regularly. You would just hang out and watch his shows, and just he was entertaining. He was. I mean, he
made
was
it
a really fun time.
Exactly. He made it fun. You're watching. You know what you're getting into in those kind of programs anyway. But I think he took it another level of making it entertaining.
Have you kept up on his kids, his son and daughter?
One of them goes on the talk show host with. Is it Corden or is it Fallon?
It was Fallon. He was just on the other night with Kevin Hart on there, bringing out animals.
Okay, yeah.
And then his daughter Bindi has taken over. I mean, she's only 14 now, and she is incredible.
Bindi.
She's taken over the whole family business of the charitable side of everything that he did and the preservation of animals and stuff. Pretty amazing girl.
Isn't it interesting that he's the crocodile hunter, but he was the preservationist?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just dive on their back.
Yeah.
Duct tape that mouth.
That's right. I learned a lot of good lessons from the crocodile hunter.
Absolutely.
I thought that was the dude that went around and captured people that were...
Dog the Bounty
Oh,
Hunter.
that's Dog the Bounty Hunter. Oh,
Well, in
crap.
2006,
Bruh.
there's a story about him. I think he took someone across the line from Mexico
to Colorado.
Yeah.
And was arrested because you can't just... You're not an officer.
Right.
Yeah, I spent a
Special
lot of time.
fella.
Oh, what a great guy. Good haircut. Good head of hair on him.
And a lovely bride.
Lovely bride. Lovely. The busty and beautiful. All right, anyways. He still has the Croc Hunter doll.
What time we got? 8:50?
850.
All right, we're rolling through this list of 2006. My number 5 on my list. My number 5. Big year for... We did a show once on 2001.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
And I realized after the fact that I neglected to put the premiere of the UK version of The Office on my list, which I felt horrible about, and I cried for several hours afterwards.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was
I remember that late night phone call I got from you.
Yeah,
sobbing. I didn't understand what you were saying.
And I appreciate you letting me sleep on your couch that night because I
Absolutely.
really needed a friend and a shoulder to cry on. So 2006, big Jim and Pam year on the U.S. version of The Office. We love Jim and Pam. Jim and Pam were the next Sam and Diane. And in 2006, oh boy, the episode Booze Cruise, which was in the... Thank you. That was the episode that aired in 2006 where The Office went on. What else? A booze cruise. And Jim was just about ready to tell Pam how he felt about her. And at that point where he was approaching Pam, Roy announces in a drunken stupor that they were getting married. And, of course, he hadn't really asked. Well, no, they were engaged, but he announced their wedding date.
Yeah. Because they'd been engaged.
That when the show started, right?
Indefinitely.
Yes, exactly. That was one of the things about the UK version of The Office too. They had, anyway, I don't want to digress into that. Then Casino Night.
Yes,
Jim finally tells Pam how he feels. They share a kiss, and then he was so hurt by the unrequitedness of his declaration of love that he goes off and goes to Scranton was where the main one was.
Yes.
Where was the other one?
To
Syracuse? Poughkeepsie? No, come on. Where was it?
Hershey?
Where'd he go?
Not Hershey.
Could have been Hershey.
Stamford.
Stanford.
Yeah, the Stamford branch. And that's where we meet up with Ed Helms for the first time, or Rashida Jones.
Yeah.
And
Big Tuna.
and they eventually merge, of course, because you couldn't have. It was interesting for a few episodes. They had the two offices separated, but we knew we had to get everybody under one roof, and that happened with the episode "The Merger," which also aired in 2006. So that's my number 5. The Will They, Won't They, Jim and Pam of the U.S. version of The Office.
I really like. I think it's a great shot. Just the Booze Cruise one, because it was the first time in that series that I can remember where the cameras weren't in the actors' faces when Jim and Pam are out on the deck of the boat.
You felt like they were sneaking.
Yeah, like you're
filming
like,
something they shouldn't
suddenly
be
it felt
filming.
Like, oh wait, this isn't a show. It feels more like the documentary style. Like you know that it's a cameraman standing there filming them. They're having their moment.
Right.
And she's kind of letting down her guard for a moment before Roy comes in.
Right.
Yeah,
Damn it, Roy.
Good stuff. Damn it, Roy. Good stuff. All right.
So yeah, that was my number 5.
I love me
Very
some
good.
Office.
I love the Jenna
I
Fisher
just watched
and John
Night last night.
John Krasinski is now Jack Ryan.
Yeah, no, he doesn't look anything like
He's
Jeff.
kicking ass.
He's got a beard. That makes you tough right away.
Well, yeah. Look at you.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
I'm constantly intimidated.
Yeah, you should be. Okay, excuse me. My number 5 is an album that came out. This is, I believe, the list that I've done, the year I've done with the most albums on it. I don't know why.
I don't have any albums on mine.
Good.
Huge
Not a big year for the
mistake.
Beatles. So my number 5 is...
I'll comment on that later.
Thank you. My number 5 is an album from a group called The Hold Steady. An album came out called Boys and Girls in America. It was their 3rd album, and I love this album. They have great songs called Chips Ahoy. One of my favorites is Stuck Between Stations. It's a Minnesota group. Some Minnesota boys get together, and in fact, a running theme through all their albums is writing for a fictional story about a Minnesota boy and the antics that he goes through. It's kind of interesting. This is just good American bar rock. It's fun sing-along kind of songs, good American rock and roll. And this album, for me, is one of my favorite albums of 2006. Really enjoyable. I've listened to this thing over and over and over because it kind of it has a great flow to it, top to bottom. Really fun. And again, this is a 10 for me for them, and none of their other albums cross maybe a 6 for me. It's just they really nailed one. The rest of them, there's bits and pieces that I like, but this is like the one time they put everything together for me. And I really enjoy the Hold Steady album that year.
The Hold Steady.
Yeah, this is a song called Chips Ahoy.
Chips Ahoy.
Yeah.
Big fan of Chips Ahoy.
Oh, it's so good.
It's about a senior citizen couple that committed suicide, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's the one.
That's fastball the way.
Oh, sorry.
They yell Chips Ahoy as they go over the edge. Anyway, so that's my number 5, The Hold Steady.
Good stuff. All right. For my number 5, I'm going to a movie. This is the only movie that gets its lone spot on my list. And I'm going with Pan's Labyrinth. I've only seen it once. It was actually for a class. It was a Spanish literature class, and at the end of the semester, we got to have a day where we watched Pan's Labyrinth. And I'd never seen it, but I was blown away. I love this director, and I just saw Shape of Water just last week.
What'd you think of that?
I loved it. That's of the movies that I have seen from this past year. That is by far my favorite, and it was
Best Picture and Best Director.
There you go. And it's the same fella who plays the kind of the Black Lagoon creature as the is it Fauna? Is the character in Pan's Labyrinth?
Yeah, I believe so.
Which I think is cool that he keeps putting this guy in these roles where he has to, and he does a bunch of other just weird roles and costumes, and he's been himself in some things too.
He's like the practical effects version of Andy Serkis, where Andy Serkis is like your CGI master.
Yes, I like that. I like that he, is
He's willing to
do
put
that
the
as
suit on.
opposed to CGI. Yeah, I think that's great. So I've got Pan's Labyrinth as my
movie.
number 5. It is an awesome movie.
Visually incredible.
Yes. And it takes place in the early 40s, shortly after the Spanish Civil War, in the Franco era. But yeah.
Remember when James Franco was running roughshod in the 40s?
Yeah.
The worst.
Him and Dave.
Yeah. Just bro-fiving each other all through the 40s.
Oh, ridiculous. Those were the days.
Those were the days, those halcyon days. Pan's Labyrinth. I like that, sir. That's a great, great movie. All right. Jeff Robbins, you're on deck. Should we play your walk-up music again?
Yeah, my number 5, or is it 4?
It could be 4 or 5, whichever.
We're in 4 already?
Sure.
Holy moly.
Yeah, we're cooking. That's all right.
My
I'll stall this out at some point.
My number 4 is a merger that happened in 2006. And in 2006, Walt Disney bought Pixar for $7.4 billion.
Billion.
So if you want to go back in time a little bit, in 2006, of course, Disney and Pixar were working together quite a bit. They had put out several films, your Toy Story, your Finding Nemo, your Bug's Life, your Monsters, Inc., and also your Toy Story 2.
Bunch of crap.
Yeah. No, you're thinking of the Shrek films.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
Anyway, so and then they had a gentleman's agreement that they would not do any more. That they would not do sequels. Well, I just had it here. Here I go. They would not do sequels without Pixar's involvement, even though Disney basically had the right to do so. Mm-hmm. And John Lasseter, who was the head of Pixar, said, "No, we're not going to do a Toy Story 3. We're not going to go to that well again." And Disney kind of said, "Well, we'll just do it without you then, because we have the right to do that."
And again and again.
And again and again. And eventually, they just decided to merge the two companies, and that kind of like Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm. It meant more films, more sequels,
more merchandise,
more merchandising, more
Monopoly.
Synergy with the theme parks. Obviously, we just saw over at California Adventure, they changed Paradise Pier to Pixar Pier. So. And Disney realized that their own animated films were not really doing that.
It was a brilliant
and
decision.
not that they weren't doing well, because we are talking about Disney had a little bit of a large renaissance, basically since Little Mermaid or Beauty and the Beast back in the late 80s, early 90s. But really, the hot properties were the Pixar films.
Disney was smart to recognize, too, that when they purchased Pixar, that they didn't put the heavy hand on it and be like, okay, now it's us. They kept all of Pixar's animators. They kept everyone on staff at Pixar and said, you know what you're doing.
Sure.
Let us help you where we can, but we kind of just want to siphon the profits off of what you guys are doing.
Right.
And in turn, learn from you almost. Because Disney's own proper animation started to get better in quality as well.
Right, sure.
After adding Pixar, it's like they upped their own game, because just down the hall, we got guys that are killing it. And
they were doing pretty well before. I mean, the Beauty and the Beast preceded Pixar.
But they got Pixar in 2006. Beauty and the Beast was early 90s.
Yeah, I'm saying.
So there was a decade and a half where you got Hercules and all of these mediocre Disney animated films.
Hercules mediocre?
Yeah.
Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Yeah, exactly.
I agree.
What about Pocahontas?
Pocahontas was good. They were hit and miss, though. But
Lion King.
Pixar hadn't missed at this point. Pixar had put out nothing but massive hits, and Disney was very hit and miss with their animation at this time. And I think it was brilliant for them to incorporate Pixar instead of take over Pixar.
I think I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But do you think there's too many Pixar films, or they just can't come fast and furious enough for you and your family?
No, I mean, they're usually 2 a year.
Yeah.
They've had more misses than before recently, I think. The Good Dinosaur, I thought was probably their worst.
Was that a Pixar?
Yeah.
What about Wall-E?
I love Wall-E.
That wasn't a big hit commercially.
No, but I think it's
a fine film.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's a good film.
But they have started pumping out more and more sequels and prequels now in the Disney way.
Well, that's, I guess, my point is, they're doing the Disney way. We'll do whatever we can for a buck, and even there might be great quality behind it, but once we find a hit, we're going to milk it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, I like that. 2006.
Cars came out in 2006 too, but I went for the whole
good choice
overall thing.
Every time I hear this song, I think of Jeff. Shakira, his hips don't lie. Never have.
These are not my original hips.
All right. My number 4 is something that Jeff talked about a little while ago, so I'm not going to get too deep into it. But my number 4 is a television program that came out, and it was 30 Rock, created by Tina Fey. You mentioned the whole cast of characters on there. A parody almost of the structure of NBC and General Electric, and how that operated within the show. Some of the things I really loved was I loved how 30 Rock used cutaways a lot to other discussions that were happening, or when things were mentioned, they would cut away to that. I always enjoyed that. Tracy Morgan would mention something that happened, and they would cut away to that.
Right.
I like that. I thought it was just brilliant writing, and I think that Liz Lemon is a hero. I think Liz Lemon is one of my favorite television characters of the last decade. Just being the every woman, trying to handle the craziness that's going on around her. 30 Rock was nominated for 103 Emmy Awards. It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good for 7 years, get 103 Emmy nominations. And I think that it was, the brilliant writing made it more than just like the pseudo behind-the-scenes show that I think it started out as. I think that first season, they were just going for like, hey, everyone knows what this is, what we're talking about, what this is supposed to be. Yeah. And I think as it moved along and they added more characters and added more depth and relationship, and really let Alec Baldwin start to go crazy, I think that the show got much, much stronger as an office comedy drama than just a, behind the scenes of SNL. So I love 30 Rock. I rewatch it a lot. Do you have a favorite character from 30 Rock, Jeff?
Well,
big Judah guy.
Judah's awesome.
Oh yeah, Judah's good. Yeah, I wasn't thinking of him. No, I like the Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a lame pick, but I
he's
probably
great
have to go
though.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear he's in Outside Providence.
MILF Island. Now
I heard that.
Now the difference, you didn't talk about Studio 60, but the difference between
I watched
the
one
two
episode of that.
Yeah, it was terrible. The comedy stuff that you would see on 30 Rock was actually funny.
Yes.
It was like clear that, this is actually a funny show that they're putting on, and it makes sense why it's a hit and why it's on the air.
And I loved, because I was a big Tracy Morgan fan on SNL, despite him being behind the scenes for the majority of his run until the last couple of years when he got, Brian Fellows and Rocket into outer space. Goodbye, human race. Those sketches, and his behind the camera things, yelling at Lorne Michaels, go get him a Pepsi. Like, you're just like, well, this Tracy Morgan's kind of crazy. And then they just unleashed him on America in 30 Rock. And Tracy was just insane. I mean, that's when all of a sudden everyone knew Tracy Morgan's going to get everyone pregnant. Love him. I'm going to get her pregnant.
Oh, my
So, yeah,
God.
that's my number, what do we got? 4? Number 4, 30 Rock.
Good stuff.
Number 4.
All right, for my number 4, I'm going to something that was already talked about, and that is the Nintendo Wii. I want to touch on some other things in video games.
Didn't you already talk about
No,
the
he was
Nintendo?
just concurring on mine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to get too much into it.
We'll edit mine out. Or
Yeah,
what I
we'll
just
get
said
rid
out.
of that. Yeah,
Get rid of that in post.
Yeah. It's a rough segment. The Nintendo Wii was awesome. Jeff Robbins, you did a great job covering it. Some other things in video games in 2006, you had Guitar Hero 2, which really took a big step from the first Guitar Hero that, I don't know, that wasn't a huge deal. And also on Guitar Hero 2 was the first time that you actually had bands playing their own music.
Yeah.
Where Primus did, I believe, John the Fisherman, and a couple other bands had their own. It wasn't just the, what some computer band playing.
It wasn't
Freebird
just the
by Leonard
Nokia
Skinner.
cell phone version of the song.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the 8-bit covers. So that was great. Also, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, where you could actually get 4 people playing as a different Marvel character, not just X-Men, but it could have been Spider-Man or even Ghost Rider. You go through all these, Thor, the Avengers, everybody, and you get to play against all the awesome heroes, the comic book, or as the heroes against the comic book villains, while each you and your buddies are all on the same screen, kind of like a Dynasty Warriors kind of stand-up arcade style. So that was great. The game that I probably spent the most time playing in 2006 would have been SOCOM Combined Assault on PS2. That was one that, if there was ever an online shooter that I played, that was the one, and I still hold true to that. And I don't play online shooters because I don't think anything will ever be as good as that.
Nice.
So there you go. I'm going Nintendo Wii, but also other video games of 2006 for my number 4.
Jeff, what's your favorite online shooter?
My son plays one called Survivio or
Survivor. No, I don't know.
Survivor. That's that.
Starring Mike Burnett.
That's that. One thing that didn't make my list, but since you mentioned Survivor, 2006 was the year they had a series where they separated tribes by race.
Oh, smart idea.
Very controversial.
Jesus.
You guys don't remember that?
All the whites over here.
Well, that's what it was. You had whites, you had Caucasians, African Americans. I think you had Asian Americans.
Did Mark Burnett get Mel Gibson to help out?
Yeah, help me out here. Can you help me tell who's going where?
Jesus.
You guys don't remember that?
Horrible.
No, I
I stopped
don't.
watching Survivor in 2002.
Okay.
After Richard in the box.
Yeah.
How we at? Where are we? Okay, my number 3 is something that happened in January of 2006, and that is that Howard Stern ended up going to Sirius Satellite Radio, and I'm a big Howard Stern fan, and I think that some shows evolve. You look at let's compare him to Letterman for example.
Okay.
Switch to CBS, I think, was a bad thing for Letterman. I think the big Broadway stage, trying to be more mainstream, I don't think worked out for him.
Didn't fit him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Still a fine program, but it didn't fit him.
He became corporate Dave.
I don't think to that extent.
Sure.
All right.
Suddenly he's wearing nice suits.
So when Stern went to satellite radio, not only could he pretty much say and do whatever he wanted, but more to the point, it really unleashed what a good interviewer he is. He will do interviews for an hour and a half with. He gets pretty big names in there. He's had Alec Baldwin in there several times. We were just talking about Alec Baldwin. He recently did his 3rd interview with Paul McCartney. That was very good. I mean, really, he's done Letterman.
He's the king of all media.
He is the king of all. No, I don't know about that, but
well, that's what he named himself.
But right now, you've got a show where in one segment you've got just filth, basically. I was just listening to it today. He had 2 of his staff members urinating in adult diapers, and then they would weigh the adult diapers to see.
That's a rip off of one of our segments. We've been doing that for years.
Well, we did number 2.
Yeah, number 2.
Yeah, so it wasn't quite the same.
Winner.
And then the next segment, you can have like an hour interview with Gwyneth Paltrow, and it can be just a damn good interview. And it's a very entertaining listen. I think it's made the Stern Show really just better than it's ever been, and it's been that way in my mind for 12 years. And he's I think that he is responsible for a lot of satellite radio's success because let's face it, you can get music nowadays in a lot of formats. You can pay a lot less and have Spotify Premium, or pay even less and get free Pandora. But
it was huge when he left terrestrial radio.
Well, everybody really thought he was making a mistake.
Right.
Like,
it really
what's this
kind of
crap satellite radio? That's not going to last.
Like this satellite radio. Like, wait, it's kind of this. It's like when podcasts starting, and people are like, what podcast? What, this is stupid.
Right.
And suddenly it's like, well, wait, Stern's doing it? Like the biggest name in terrestrial radio is doing it?
Right.
I'll check it out. And people, I would love to see the numbers of just how many subscriptions from the previous month to the next month.
I was frantically trying to find a survey or something to how many people subscribed only because of him. And I can't find those numbers, but yeah, I would think that would be a big chunk of their audience. I mean, he
has a rabid audience too. That just
he makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're definitely paying for him. But yeah, I think it's the show itself. He's matured. He's evolved. They don't do lesbian dial-a-date anymore. He's not the dirty old man ogling over young women as they really don't do much of that. I mean, they do crass stuff, no doubt, but it's more. I think he lets his staff handle the crassness. Mm-hmm. But anyway, that's my number 3. Howard Stern moving to Sirius Satellite Radio, now known as Sirius XM.
I like that.
There's a NoFX lyric from 2006 about how the People's Revolution is going to be in a podcast.
I can only hope.
That's right.
They can come on my podcast.
Which one? You have several.
I know. Just find one. My number 3 is another musical topic. It is sophomore solo albums. And there were 2 that I decided to land on here for sophomore solo albums. The first one is Amy Winehouse had her album Back to Black come out in 2006, which of course featured the mega hit song Rehab, which isn't even my favorite song on the album. I love You Know I'm No Good. I love Love is a Losing Game. I think her version of Love is a Losing Game is incredible.
This is such a good album, and I agree. Even though Rehab is the big hit, I think that it's still a great song. I think it's one of the worst on the album, but like I said, the whole thing.
She brings back a style that had seemed to have gone dormant for so long, and her voice is just this timeless voice. And she's such a tragic figure, and now, the documentary Amy came out posthumously, and you see how she was used and abused throughout her life and career, and it's just heartbreaking. But this is a tremendous album. She won Best Pop Vocal Album at the Grammys. She won 5 Grammys in total from this album alone. Unfortunately, died shortly thereafter at the age of 27. I think that she was such a talent that just self-destructed and got into abusive, dangerous relationships. But anyways, Back to Black, great album. The second sophomore soul album that I have on here is Justin Timberlake. Had Future Sex Love Sounds that came out, and I'm an unabashed JT lover, like massive man crush on Justin Timberlake. And this had so many tracks. Sexy Back, of course, was the huge one. What Goes Around, I love. Damn Girl, My Love. This album showed his range of musical influences. Also, he incorporated Timbaland as his producer and collaborator on most of these songs. It's just an amazing album for me. I've listened to it a bajillion times. And I liked.
Do you own a physical copy of that?
I own a physical copy, the DVD, the concert tour thing. I mean, like the whole. I have a picture of him on my fridge. I'm not afraid to say, I love me some JT.
I love this.
It's.
In other NSYNC news, Lance Bass announced that he was gay in 2006.
Yeah,
I was going to say, he's no Lance Bass.
No, he's not. I'd make him one. I love this album. I loved his first album, Justified. You know, I think there's some great songs on this, but this was what made JT suddenly more than just that kid from the boy band. Mm-hmm. He's an actual musician. And then, I mean, around the same time, to tie in with your number 10, he explodes around this time on SNL.
We learned that he actually has a sense of humor.
Yeah, you know, when he starts doing the Barry Gibb sketch, and
he's very
Blank
good
in a Box, and all of a sudden it's like, the guy's so talented.
Always very good on that show.
So those sophomore solo albums, Amy Winehouse and Justin Timberlake, two standalone great albums.
Oh, good stuff, Jameson.
Thank you.
All right, for my number 3, I'm going with a pair of movies. One that people would be more familiar with. These are both crime dramas from 2006. I gotta put The Departed on there. Scorsese.
If I hear this song, I know it's a Scorsese movie.
That's true. Yeah, exactly.
Every Scorsese film has this song.
Yes. I just rewatched this for the first time probably this decade over the summer.
It's on Netflix now.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So I got to rewatch it, and it is. I think it's an awesome film. There's a great surprise scene.
It won Best Picture.
And did it win Best Picture?
Yeah.
Wow, how about that?
Yeah.
Leo DiCaprio.
But so did A Beautiful Mind.
To be fair. So did The English Patient.
Where do you think this ranks for Scorsese? Are you a fan of The Departed?
I am, but I think this is. I mean, it's probably 10.
Second tier Scorsese?
Yeah. I think early, mid Scorsese is just tremendous. This is kind of derivative of a lot of his previous stuff. Mm-hmm. But it also was like the big return of Jack Nicholson and probably his last role that was anything. I mean, I know he did the Bucket List after this.
No Ticky, no Laundry.
And I know he won an Oscar for As Good as It Gets, but this was like his return where Jack had kind of been gone for a few years.
Yep.
And came in perfect casting in this, and then just kind of we haven't seen him much. Then
the casting in general, Alec Baldwin once again. Yeah. It has a great
Patriot Act. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt Damon, Mark Wahlberg.
Yep.
Good
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Both of those two. Vera Farmiga. Is that how you say it?
Vera Farmiga.
And
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes. So I'm a big fan of this movie. This is the one that's going to get most of the attention for the year. But Running Scared. Mm-hmm. A crime drama that's I think is Paul Walker's best film. Second would be the Joyride.
It's my second favorite Running Scared movie.
Yeah,
Jeff.
It is not the only.
It doesn't have Gregory Hines in it.
I love me some Michael McDonald.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Can we just change the format of the show to all yacht rock?
All Michael McDonald all the time. Yamo B.
Yacht rock.
Yeah. Running Scared though.
Yeah. So I don't think it doesn't.
You're the first person to ever compare The Departed and Running Scared.
Well, I know it's not going to move the needle quite the way that The Departed would, but I think that Running Scared is a very good movie. I do think that it is Paul Walker's best movie.
What's the plot in a nutshell? I'm not familiar with Running Scared. This one.
I don't know if he's a cop or what the case is. He?
I vaguely remember it.
Okay.
I saw it in 2006.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but. There's some really creepy scenes. It's the best hockey action film scene since This Side of Sudden Death from 1995 and Jean-Claude Van Damme. There's also some. I don't want to give away too much.
No,
but go see it. Running Scared. Paul Walker.
All right, I like it, Jeff. Look at us. Now we're running into the clock.
Running into the clock? What do you mean? Love you. Love you! Thanks for your comments out there, everybody.
All right.
I'll see you after the show. Okay.
Jackass. What do you have at number 2?
Hey, I've got Sunday Night Football. The premiere of Sunday Night Football, something that we compete with now on our little show. But 2006 saw the creation of the Sunday Night Football franchise, basically taking over the game of the week from Monday Night Football. I think we talked about Monday Night Football
Last episode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, because that was the 1970. Thank you. So now, bringing it all around to 2006. Game of the week. Yeah, Monday Night Football, not quite as sexy anymore. Sunday Night Football, you had your supposed best broadcast team. You had your supposed best game of the week. And flexible scheduling. So that is my number 2, the debut of Sunday Night Football.
You got Dan Patrick on NBC.
The most important NFL broadcast franchise right now.
Oh, I like that. My number 2 is another catch-all topic, kind of. Great directors.
Great directors
doing their thing in 2006. The first one is Clint Eastwood. Had 2 big films come out that year: Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima. 2 sides of the same coin, telling the story of World War II heroes on both sides of the war. The Japanese version and the American version.
Is this Tora?
No, it's Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima. Great movies, both of them. Also, Alfonso Cuarón had a movie called Children of Men, which we just reviewed on Real Reviews a couple weeks ago.
Movie throwback.
Love that movie. And it means more today than it ever did. So much that they talked about in that movie is happening right now. Great film. Martin Scorsese, of course, had The Departed, as you had talked about, Anthony. And another one that you talked about, my favorite of all these, Guillermo del Toro's Pan Labyrinth. Pan's Labyrinth is an incredible film by just a master who... This was the first film of Guillermo del Toro's that I'd seen, my introduction to him, and he's now become one of my favorite filmmakers working. When I see he's working on something, it's a guarantee I'm seeing it. So the four great directors all put out really high quality products in 2006.
What about the ShamWow guy? Didn't he? Did he do Inappropriate Movie around this time?
Yeah. Anyways, that's my number 2.
I thought he just smoked some pot, or was that the Dell guy?
Oh man, the Dell guy. We missed him. Gone too soon.
I've decided to change my number 3 to Vera Farmiga.
Is he dead?
No, I don't know.
I think he
Vera
is.
Farmiga what?
Yeah, films, because she's in Running Scared.
All right, very good.
That's how I was supposed to tie that in.
All right,
dramas.
Number 2 for you, Danu.
My number 2 is the debut and complete first season of a little show called Dexter. This is such a great show, and I think the first season really was its peak. I know a lot of times that happens with shows, and I still think that the show in general is great as a whole, but the writing on the first season and the storylines with Dexter and his sister and his brother, the whole season, and rooting for the serial killers is such a weird way to go about a show, but it's based on the books. Is it Dearly Disturbed Dexter? Darkly Disturbed Dexter is the name of the book? Something like that. Yeah. Also a big part of why the first season was so good, and like I said, I'm still a fan of the whole series. Still maybe hoping for some more. But one of the main writers, if I'm not mistaken, the head writer, left after the first season, and I just thought this was one of the greatest singular seasons all time in television history.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that saying a lot, Jeff Robbins?
It's a great show.
What about season 3 of Facts of Life?
I forgot that one.
Tootie got her
Is that
braces
Tootie?
off.
Yeah.
Oh, what a season.
Mindy Cohn goes too far.
Thank God, finally. All right, you know where we're at right now.
My number 1 on
number 1. That's my effect.
Pop Music Time Capsule for 2006. What was there a jingle?
Pop Music Time Capsule?
What did I say?
That's what you said.
Pop Music Time Machine?
Pop.
This is Pop Culture Time Capsule on 103.5 FM, The Sun, WLSPLP, Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. My number 1 for 2006 is the introduction of Facebook and Twitter. What else can be said about Facebook and Twitter that hasn't already been said? Now, Facebook actually started before 2006.
I was going to say, I thought that was 2004 when I was doing my research. It was originally on my list.
2006 was the first year that anybody could sign up. Before that, it was only the dudes at Harvard that could sign up. 2006 was when it became...
I scratched it off my list.
When it became a public social media site.
Okay.
So what can be said about Facebook and Twitter? That's where I get all my
Facebook's
news.
having a rough week right now.
It's where I get all my news.
Everybody's been hacked on Facebook right now. Be careful, kids.
That's not a real thing. That's a hoax.
They announced.
That's
they
a
announced
hoax.
No,
It's a hoax.
Jeff, I've been.
Oh, that
getting
thing.
friends
Oh, that
he
thing.
announced that 50 million people have been hacked.
Okay, you're talking about the. I was reading something
Yeah.
right before I came here. But you're right. You're
Okay.
right. You're right. But yeah, I get all my news on Twitter and Facebook.
On Facebook. That's where you get your news about Facebook.
Yeah.
You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook.
@ PCTC or something.
I'm actually, I don't want to. I'm sort of kidding when I say I get all my news on Facebook and Twitter, but I do enjoy. I was reading Eric Idle's tweets about the show last night.
He said it was great.
Yeah, he said except for those three jackasses that were
Idiots.
Yeah. So that's my number one.
All
Facebook
right.
going public, and Twitter starting.
Nice.
2006. Number one. All there in a right package up for you.
Boom. The
Social media
world.
package.
That's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Okay, my number one is the last album, and it is my favorite album of 2006, and I dare I say, possibly my favorite album of the 2000s.
Don't say that. Don't
first
say that.
decade of the 2000s, it might be my favorite. I'm talking about the Decemberists. Had an album come out called The Crane Wife, which is just gorgeous album, gorgeous storytelling in here, lyrics that are just incredibly visual, lots of sea shanty style lyrics, almost morose music, really melancholy lyrics. There it is. Lead singer Colin Malloy, a really melancholy voice, uses history and folklore to build his stories. Great. A lot of these songs are like a perfect formation of Shakespeare. He'll take Shakespeare and add it to this indie folk rock. I'm a sucker for this kind of stuff. There's a song on here, if you're looking for greatness, there's a song called The Island, which is this 12-minute epic of storytelling and transitioning styles within a song. I've listened to this album more than any album of the last 15 years. It's tremendous. And I love the Decemberists. I think they're one of the great groups of this century. All of their albums are great, but The Crane Wife is, like I say, for me, it's the best album of the year, and might be the best album of the 2000s for me. So there you go. My number one, the Decemberists.
Very good, very good. Listening to this now, I actually want to check out this album. So you sold me.
Good.
Yes. Sea shanty.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right. It leaves you, sir, with your number one.
That's right. For my number one, I'm going one with Jameson, one that Jameson talked a little bit about already. Amy Winehouse, Back to Black. This to me, I know you like the Decemberists, I'm going to check that out, but for me, for right now, Back to Black, the best album of the year. And this is 2006 was such a great year for Amy Winehouse. So she did get the best pop vocal album, as you said. She was nominated for Album of the Year. She had this awesome collaboration with Ghostface Killah. He had my favorite hip hop album of the year, Fish Scale, and then came out with More Fish, which is a bonus content from the same album. But he did this crossover with Amy Winehouse, so it was like a remix of You Know I'm No Good with Ghostface Killah. That's a great version of that song. But this album, beginning to finish, when it first came out, I was like, no, I don't want any part of it. But the more you listen to the songs, you're just like, oh, this is great. She's a total throwback, and she has since become one of my 3 all-time favorite female voices.
Yeah.
So
good.
yeah, I cannot get enough of her. But this is the stuff of a goddess, right?
I
Jeff
highly
Robbins?
recommend the documentary about her, too. Amy.
Yep.
Oscar-nominated documentary feature. Just great and heartbreaking, and makes you want to track down every song she ever did, unreleased things, like everything.
Yeah, exactly. Anything that I can.
Her
get
collaborations
from
with Tony Bennett. I mean, just great things.
Yeah.
Yeah, great choice. All right. Well, as we near the end of the episode, we gotta do a few things, right? We gotta pull a year for next week's show.
I don't get you guys.
What's that?
You got Facebook and Twitter start this year, and you don't have them on your lists.
Like I said, when I did research, I had Facebook starting in 2004, so I eliminated it off my list.
Jeff Robbins, you didn't have Amy Winehouse Back to Black.
Yeah, I don't. Not interested.
How could you?
Sorry.
All right, fine. Be that way.
But you mentioned the Beatles earlier. 2006 was when the Cirque du Soleil Beatles show opened up.
Okay, good.
Didn't have it on my list though. I
it's
restrained myself.
Unfortunate. Okay, I'm gonna pull a year.
Nobody talked about Snakes on a Plane.
Out of
Snakes
the
on a
big
Plane was
old
2006.
bucket of years, here it is. Here's the time capsule with the years. You can find this fine program if you miss it. If maybe you just tuned in, missed the first half.
Oh.
You can find us on Sun Prairie Media Center.
Oh, you want to hear it again?
Or listen to it over and over.
Sure.
Find it on the on-demand player there. Sometimes you can find our shows up on YouTube. If you go to Frony Radio on YouTube, subscribe to that bad boy. Smash that subscribe button. And as they say on the YouTubes. And you can also find us on the Twitter that Jeff loves to talk about, @_PCTC.
Who's responsible for those tweets?
Yours truly.
Nice job. You're doing a fine job with that.
We do what we can. All right, we are going to pull a year out of the bucket. Reaching in. Oh, it's hard to do it when I'm looking at the camera. And let's pull this one. The year for next week's episode will be 1997 is your year.
1997.
Oh, I'm very excited about this.
We're going to have a good time with that one.
Great stuff.
Get your lists in now. Send them in. Put them on a postcard in a self-stamped, self-addressed stamped envelope, right? Whatever you got. Send a list into us.
SASE.
SASE as they see. 1997. Looking forward to it.
Good stuff. All right, I'm going to leave everybody today with an album from a band we did not talk about in 2006 episode, but Stadium Arcadium came out from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and we're going to leave you with some Danny California. We'll see you next week in 1997.